Hi, my name is Kristen and this is Kristen Craves Books. So another month is coming to an end and it's time for my November most anticipated releases. And when I was putting together my list, I thought, okay, maybe there'll be 5 or 6 books that I'm interested in. It's the end of the year, publishing kind of slows down around this time, but that is definitely not the case. There are more books on this list than I think in any of the past months that I've done. So I'm not going to give you really in-depth synopsis. I'm just going to put these on your radar, show you the covers, give you a sentence or two, what I know about them, why I'm excited about them, and we'll move on because November 2nd is a huge release day, and I think I'm posting this on November 1st. So I just want you to be ready for tomorrow because it's going to be a huge day for some amazing books. So let's get right to it. The first one is unique because it's actually a graphic novel, and that's Lower Olympus by Rachel Smythe. And this is volume 1. I know that volume 2 comes out next year sometime, I think April. I'm going to show you both covers quickly because they're stunning. This is actually a really popular webtoon, so that name might be familiar to you, but they've taken all of the comics from the webtoon and put them into these volumes, and they are stunning. Look at the art on here. I cannot wait. I haven't read a really good graphic novel in a few months, so I'm excited about this one. It is about Hades and Persephone's love story, and I know they in particular have been really popular the last year. There's lots of retellings about them, so I'm excited to read this one. It looks absolutely adorable, and I know it's really beloved already. And then we have a book that has one of my favorite covers of the year, and it's A Marvelous Light by Freya Marski, and this is set in Edwardian London, which is a setting I adore. You're instantly going to intrigue me with that. It's LGBT, and it's a magical secret society, and I believe that it is enemies to lovers, and these two characters come together to explore what is happening in the secret society. There's a mystery, I believe there's a murder. It looks adorable. I hope it lives up to its cover, and I have a feeling that it will. The next one is one of my most anticipated releases of the year because the first book, I believe this is a duology. The first book made me fall in love with YA fantasy again, so the sequel's finally out, and that is A Song of Storms and Silence, and this is by Roseanne A. Brown, and the first one was Song of Wraiths and Ruin. Those are always tricky to say, but I loved that book so much. It's got a lot, it's a more of a simple story. It's really enemies to lovers. It's got that trope where both of the main characters are set out to murder the other one, but the world building's fantastic. I fell in love with all the characters. Their motivations are really strong. I'm curious to see what the author does with the rest of the stories, to be reintroduced to this world, to connect with these characters again. I highly recommend the first book if you haven't read it yet, and I hope that this book gets the attention that it deserves because I know the publishing date has been pushed back quite a few times. Now, speaking of gorgeous covers, we have Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. This cover is gorgeous. The author actually posted a picture of a poster that they had, and it's so stunning. I'm going to put a picture of the poster if I can find it as well. I have been searching for my perfect mermaid novel, and I'm really hoping that this is. I have a good feeling about it because mermaid novels are really hit and miss for me. And from what I know, there are gods involved in this. I believe our main character is a mermaid, and she saves a boy who she shouldn't have saved, and that has a lot of consequences, and it kind of just goes on from there. I've heard fantastic things already. I cannot wait to get my hands on this one. November 2nd is going to make me really broke. This next one has been out in the UK for a while, and it's Still Life by Sarah Winman, and Tin Man by her. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I was so tempted many times to buy Still Life when it was out in the UK and have it shipped to me because I have been highly anticipating this book, even though I don't know much about it. What I do know is that it's set in Tuscany in 1944, so during and after the war, and we're following two characters who come together. One of them is trying to save art from the ruins, and I think they form a really strong connection. I think there's some found family in here, and it's going to be really beautiful. I really just trust Sarah Winman's writing, so I don't need to know much about her work going into it. Then we have a really fun one that just came on my radar, and it's a Pride and Prejudice retelling. I'm always down to try those. And this one's called A Certain Appeal by Vanessa King, and it is set in New York, and our Elizabeth character is actually a burlesque dancer, and Mr. Darcy comes to one of her shows, and they have a strong connection. Yeah, that's all I need to know about it. The cover's stunning. It looks like it's set in the 20s. I'm not sure, but a Pride and Prejudice story set in New York with Elizabeth being a burlesque dancer. You don't need to tell me any more than that. Sounds fantastic. Okay, I got through that quicker than I thought, so now we're on November 9th, and the first one is The Sentence by Louise Erdrich, who is an author I've been meaning to read from for ages. I started The Night Watchman, which won the Pulitzer Prize this year, and I actually did a try-chapter tag, and that's the book I chose, but then my cat passed away when I was in the middle of it, and I just haven't returned, but I love Erdrich's writing. so much, and this sounds like a really departure for her. It is a ghost story that takes place in a bookstore, and I believe that somebody dies in the bookstore and refuses to leave, and our main character is trying to connect to this ghost. Sounds fantastic. I already know that I like the author's writing, so I'm really intrigued by this one, and it's getting a lot of great buzz already. Next we have a nonfiction title that I know many of us are going to be excited about and interested in it, and that is The Library, A Fragile History. And obviously this is about the history of libraries. I really want to read that. I know about the importance of libraries. They have a long history, and I think there's some interesting stories that the authors dive into. And this one I've already heard some great things, and I'm always down for nonfiction about books. The next one is All of Us Villains, and I'm already sold. Any book about villains I'm down for. And this is by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman, who are two authors I've heard a lot about but I've never read from. And this is YA, and it's giving me major Hunger Game vibes, which I'm always intrigued by. If there's a tournament, I'm down. And the tagline here says, "The blood moon rises, the blood veil falls, the tournament begins." I know that there are 7 families that compete in this tournament, I think, to get power. And there's some kind of tell-all book that comes out that makes it very salacious, and the whole world is watching this event. It sounds like a good time to me. I haven't heard too much about this one, but I know that these are popular YA authors, so I'm definitely intrigued. I'm not gonna lie, this next one was totally a cover ad for me, and that is Year of the Reaper by Marca Lucier. And all I know about this one is that we're following a king who is kidnapped and returns 3 years later to find that his court and his home has completely been overruled, and he's looking for revenge. He's looking to get his power back, and I think he teams up with an assassin. I'm not sure, but it's a standalone fantasy, which I'm always looking for, always appreciate. This cover is pretty epic as well. Then the last one for November 9th is Noor by Nnedi Okorafor, and I've never read by this author before, though I have Binti on my list. Remote, so many of the author's work has intrigued me, but I think Noor might be the one that I start with. It is set in Nigeria, and I think technology plays a large role in this. Our main character was born with health conditions, and then she was in an accident, so she's really put together with different technology, and she's looked down upon, and something happens where she's on the run, and she meets up with somebody else, and I think they're on the run together. And this is a world where everything is streamed, so the whole world is watching them, and that sounds pretty fun to me. I know that this author is really beloved. I believe that this is a shorter book as well. I am definitely in the mood for good sci-fi. There's something about the end of the year that makes me want to read science fiction. I don't know what that's about. Now, strangely, I only have 2 left, one for November 16th and one for November 30th. So coming out November 16th is The Singles Table by Sarah Desai, and this is the 3rd book in the Marriage Game series, but I believe all of the books are companion novels. I haven't read the first 2, but this one really looks cute to me. From what I know about this one, it is set during the wedding season, and these 2 characters are kind of thrown together all season long, sitting at the singles table, and they make an arrangement where he will introduce her to his celebrity clients because she is a lawyer, and she's going to help him find the love of his life, and obviously they're going to fall in love. So I think that sounds adorable. Let me know if you've read the other 2 books in that series and if I should pick them up as well, because I have heard good things about them. And then the last book, the one coming out November 30th, I know so many people are excited for, and that is Jade Legacy. This is the 3rd and final book in the Greenbone saga. And I'm just curious to see how this wraps up. I haven't read Jade War yet, but I've been meaning to. But I did read Jade City earlier this year and thought it was really interesting. And I've heard the books just get more and more intense. And earlier reviews for Jade Legacy have already been fantastic. So I know so many people are excited about that one. So we did it. We got through this. That was more books than I ever anticipated coming out in November. Let me know if I missed any, if any of these are on your radar. If you had arcs of them and you've already read them, I would love to know what you thought. And what is the book that you're most excited for that's coming out in November? I'm already putting together my December list, but I definitely think that one's going to be a little bit shorter. And there were some Christmas books that are coming out that I want to mention, but I might just do a separate video on that for anybody that is interested. So I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for your time. Bye for now.